Have you noticed that the people who speak the least often hold the most power? They don't rush. They don't scramble for attention. And yet, when they finally open their mouths, the entire room shifts. People lean in, they listen. They take every word seriously. Why? Because silence is not emptiness, it is strength under control, whether they realize it or not. These people are using one of the most overlooked psychological weapons in human behavior: disciplined silence. In this video, you're going to learn how silence, used deliberately, strategically, stoically, can transform the way people perceive you, respond to you, and respect you. You will understand why speaking less makes your voice stronger, why restraint creates authority, and why silence is a tool of clarity, dominance, and self-mastery. By the end, you'll see that this is not about talking less. It's about reclaiming your power. Silence is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's not passivity. Silence is control. When you stay quiet in moments where most people would rush to speak, you send a message without saying a single word. I choose my responses. I am not ruled by emotion. Most people speak to relieve discomfort. They speak to fill space. They speak to avoid feeling insecure. But you're about to learn the opposite. Silence makes people question themselves. It forces them to slow down. It destabilizes those who expect emotional reactivity. And most importantly, it protects your energy and sharpens your judgment. If you want discipline, respect, or inner dominance, silence is one of the fastest ways to build it. Not by accident, but by intention. Today, you'll learn exactly how to use it like a weapon. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is a higher form of it. The Stoics understood something modern people forget. The person who controls their tongue controls their life. When you refrain from reacting, you create a gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap, your power lives. Silence gives you space to see clearly. It stops you from being dragged into useless debates, emotional traps, or impulsive mistakes. It protects your dignity when others lose theirs. It keeps you rooted in reason when the world is drowning in noise. The goal is not to become mute. The goal is to become intentional. You speak only when your words serve a purpose, and you stay silent when silence serves you better. Once you master this balance, you move differently. You think differently. You live differently. Your first instinct when someone attacks you unfairly is to defend yourself, to explain, to prove them wrong, but that instinct is exactly what drains your strength. Stoic discipline demands something harder. You stay silent. Silence in the face of unfair criticism signals unshakable confidence. It shows that you're grounded in who you are, not in what someone says about you. When you don't react, you starve the critic of the attention they're desperately trying to extract. You show that their words have no power over your identity. In that silence, you think clearly, you evaluate objectively, you decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Most criticism doesn't need a rebuttal, it needs maturity. And sometimes the greatest defense is refusing to validate the attack at all. Anger is the moment your tongue becomes a weapon against yourself. One impulsive sentence can destroy trust, relationships, opportunities, even your own self-respect. This is why the Stoics taught, when anger rises, silence must rise higher. Staying quiet when you're furious is not weakness. It is emotional dominance. It is the refusal to let someone else hijack your state of mind. In that pause, you regain authority over your reactions. You stop yourself from saying something you cannot take back. Silence creates space for clarity. Clarity creates better judgment. And better judgment creates strength. When you choose silence over rage, you become the one who decides what happens next, not your emotions, not the other person, not the tension of the moment. This is how real discipline is built, one controlled silence at a time. When life hits you with loss, people expect words, explanations, reassurances, forced optimism. But in moments of real pain, words crumble. Stoicism teaches a harder, purer truth: sit in the silence. Silence gives you room to feel without performing. It allows your heart to process reality at its own pace, without pressure, without pretending, without rushing yourself back to normal. Grief is not a problem to solve. It is an experience to move through, and silence is the space where that movement happens. In quiet reflection, you begin to understand what the loss means, what it teaches, and how it reshapes you. There is wisdom in that stillness. There is acceptance in that stillness, and sooner or later, there is strength in that stillness. Silence becomes not emptiness, but healing. Not every wrong idea deserves your correction. Not every ignorant comment deserves your explanation. The undisciplined ego wants to jump in, argue, educate, prove a point. But the Stoic mind knows this truth. Your silence is often the higher lesson. When someone speaks from ignorance, your silence forces them to sit with their own words. It makes them question themselves. It exposes their lack of depth without you having to say a single thing. Silence prevents you from wasting energy on people who are not ready to understand. And it protects your peace from unnecessary conflict. Use silence to observe instead of react. Often, you'll realize the misunderstanding isn't worth correcting. And when it is worth addressing, silence gives you time to respond with accuracy, not emotion. Sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that chooses not to engage. A false accusation triggers a deep instinct. Defend yourself immediately. Prove your innocence. Fight back. But reacting too quickly often makes you look guilty, emotional, or insecure. This is why the disciplined mind does the opposite. It goes silent. Silence signals certainty. It shows that you trust the truth to stand on its own legs. It gives you time to gather facts, to think strategically, and to respond only when the moment serves you, not when pressure tries to force you. A rushed defense is fragile. A calm, patient one is undeniable. Silence prevents you from saying something out of panic or frustration that could be twisted against you. It also makes observers question the accusation instead of your reaction. When you stay silent in the face of lies, you project strength, and strength makes the truth louder than any argument. When hardship hits, most people complain, vent, or look for someone to blame. They leak their energy through words, but Stoic discipline teaches you the opposite. When life becomes heavy, become silent. Silence is where your strength gathers. It stops you from wasting power on emotional outbursts that change nothing. It shifts your focus from, why is this happening to me, to, what can I do next? In silence, you stop spiraling and start strategizing. This quiet space lets you observe your situation without distortion. You see what you can control, what you must accept, and what you must change. Silence turns chaos into clarity. It prevents you from reacting out of weakness and forces you to stand in reason and discipline. Hardship does not break the silent mind. It forges it. Insults are designed to provoke. They aim to spark anger, shame, or embarrassment. Most people fall straight into the trap, responding with equal venom. But the Stoic path is different. Remain silent. Silence is your shield and your weapon. It shows that nothing superficial can shake you. It removes the insulter's control over your mind. Your lack of reaction creates discomfort for them, not you. Your inner calm becomes your outer power. When you don't bite, you project authority, maturity, and emotional mastery. Others take notice. Silence in the face of provocation demonstrates that you operate on a higher plane. Your respect cannot be bought, nor your dignity easily stolen. Learn this. The less you react, the more others reveal themselves. Let them exhaust themselves. You remain steady. You remain strong. Arguments are traps. Most people fight to be right, not to find solutions. They speak to dominate, to convince, to prove. The Stoic alternative is brutal and effective. Strategic silence. Pause. Listen. Resist the urge to immediately counter or defend. Silence gives you perspective. It allows you to identify the underlying motives, the hidden truths, and the real stakes. You gain insight while others expend energy reacting. This is not surrender. This is tactical dominance. By staying silent, you create space for clarity and diplomacy. You can respond later with precision, timing, and authority. Silence can de-escalate conflict, reveal weaknesses in arguments, and make your eventual voice far more impactful. Master this, and you'll find the person who controls when to speak often controls the outcome of every confrontation. The world is loud. Opinions, notifications, endless chatter. It's designed to scatter your mind. True growth doesn't come from external noise. It comes from intentional silence. Silence gives you the space to examine your thoughts, your choices, and your values without distraction. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, recognize your patterns, and discover what truly drives you. In those quiet moments, insight arises. Decisions become clearer. Priorities sharpen. The Stoics understood that self-mastery begins in stillness. By practicing silence daily, you cultivate discipline, self-awareness, and clarity of purpose. Your inner voice grows stronger, your mind sharper, your judgment unclouded. Without silence, growth is fragmented. With silence, you build the foundation for resilience, focus, and unstoppable personal power. People will test you, push your buttons, try to get a rise out of you. Most respond instinctively, losing control. But the Stoic's choice is silence. When provoked, staying quiet is a demonstration of dominance. It shows you are the master of your mind and not a slave to external triggers. Silence disarms the provocateur. Their energy is wasted, yours is preserved. Your composure becomes your weapon. This isn't passive, it's tactical. Each pause is a conscious decision to maintain power over yourself and the situation. It communicates authority, self-discipline, and unshakable confidence. People notice, they respect, they fear. Mastering this art turns every attempt to manipulate or provoke you into a moment where you control the narrative, the energy, and the outcome. Pressure clouds judgment. Urgency hijacks reason. Many make choices they later regret because they speak, act, or react too quickly. The Stoic solution: pause in silence before deciding. Silence creates a mental gap to evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and align choices with your values. It transforms impulsive reactions into strategic actions. You gain perspective, reduce errors, and increase the impact of every decision. Remember, a hasty word can destroy, a reckless action can ruin, but measured silence sharpens clarity and enhances authority. It is the difference between reaction and mastery. By embracing silence in decision-making, you cultivate foresight, confidence, and influence. The world moves fast, but your mind moves smarter. Silence is the lever that turns careful thought into unstoppable action. Most people hear, but few truly listen. They're busy planning their next words, reacting, or judging. The Stoic approach is active silence. When someone speaks, resist the urge to interrupt or formulate your response immediately. By staying silent, you fully absorb their message. You notice the subtleties, the emotion, the unspoken truths. This level of attention communicates respect, presence, and intelligence. Silence transforms listening into a weapon of influence. People feel valued. They trust you. They reveal more than they intended. And in this quiet observation, you gain insights others miss. Mastering the art of silent listening strengthens relationships, enhances understanding, and increases your impact. Words will always be cheap, but thoughtful silence commands attention. Silence is not just about not speaking. It's about timing your words like a precision strike. A pause before speaking creates weight, authority, and anticipation. People lean in, they listen harder, and your words no longer float in noise. They land with force. In conversation, a well-timed pause can stop an argument, shift attention, or make a point unforgettable. It turns ordinary dialogue into strategic influence. Silence here is not emptiness. It is pressure, presence, and power. Most people fear silence. They fill it with meaningless chatter. But those who master pauses demonstrate confidence, self-control, and intellect. They signal that they are not rushed, not desperate, and not distracted. Your silence becomes a signature, a force that amplifies every word you choose to speak. Life will test you. People will insult, frustrate, and provoke. Most react immediately, exposing vulnerability and losing control. Silence, however, acts as emotional armor. By choosing not to respond impulsively, you protect your energy, preserve your dignity, and prevent others from dictating your mood. Your calm becomes contagious, your composure undeniable. It shields you from chaos and allows you to navigate tense situations strategically. Silence also gives you space to process emotions, reflect rationally, and choose actions that align with your long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. Emotional intelligence is forged in stillness, not in reactive speech. When mastered, silence transforms from a defensive tool into a force that commands respect and subtly influences outcomes, leaving others aware they cannot manipulate or destabilize you. People respect what they cannot predict. They notice who speaks too much and who chooses their words carefully. Silence builds automatic authority. When you speak less, every word you say carries weight. People lean in, they consider your opinion seriously. They stop trying to dominate or test you. Silence signals mastery over impulse, intellect over emotion, and self-worth over approval. This is why the Stoics valued restraint. It is not about hiding knowledge, but about letting knowledge announce itself naturally. You don't force respect, you embody it. Your presence alone becomes persuasive. Every moment you resist the urge to over-explain, overreact, or overshare, you are training others to recognize your seriousness. Silence is not absence, It is the signal of someone whose mind is sharp, disciplined, and unshakable. Silence is a tool for influence, far stronger than empty words or persuasion through volume. The more controlled your silence, the more others lean into your authority. They fill the void with their own assumptions, often revealing information or insight without realizing it. Strategic silence creates curiosity, commands attention, and increases the perceived value of your input. When you speak after a pause, your words strike with precision. You no longer compete with noise, you dominate focus. In negotiation, conflict, or leadership, this skill is a weapon. Most people are reactive. You, by contrast, create the rhythm of interaction. Silence lets you direct energy, manage impressions, and subtly guide outcomes. Mastering this form of silence transforms you from participant to orchestrator. You control the conversation not by talking more, but by speaking less and speaking wisely. Silence is the raw material of personal power. It cultivates patience, sharpens judgment, and magnifies self-discipline. Every time you resist speaking impulsively, you strengthen your mental fortitude. Every time you pause, you choose reason over reaction. This power is invisible, yet palpable. People sense it. They respond differently to you. They test less, follow more, and respect your boundaries instinctively. Silence signals that you are unshakable, unhurried, and deliberate. Most underestimate its effect. They speak to impress, to compete, to justify. You speak to command attention, communicate precision, and preserve energy. Silence is not emptiness, it is stored force, a reserve of influence and clarity waiting for the right moment. Master it, and life stops pulling you in all directions. You become the anchor in every storm. Silence changes how people experience you. In relationships, those who speak without restraint often exhaust or annoy. Those who practice measured silence are listened to, respected, and trusted. When you stop filling every moment with words, you create space for others to express themselves fully. You show patience, attentiveness, and self-possession. People feel understood, valued, and safe around you. Your quiet presence becomes a stabilizing force. Silence also teaches boundaries. By not reacting to every provocation or drama, you model emotional maturity. Others adjust their behavior, treat you more seriously, and engage with you on a higher level. Through disciplined silence, your relationships transform. Shallow chatter is replaced by meaningful interaction. Chaos is replaced by respect, and ordinary influence is replaced by authentic authority. Silence is not a weakness. It is the ultimate expression of control, focus, and authority. When mastered, it elevates your judgment, strengthens your relationships, and transforms your presence. The person who speaks less often commands more. The person who reacts slowly dominates where others are dominated by impulse. This is your call to action. Start practicing intentional silence today. Pause before responding. Observe before judging. Reflect before reacting. Every moment you resist unnecessary words. You reclaim power over yourself and your world. Your silence is a message, a shield, a weapon, and a mirror. Use it deliberately, and watch your influence grow, your respect increase, and your inner peace deepen. Comment below with your thoughts. Share your experiences, and remember, discipline your words, and you will discipline your life. Like, subscribe, and share this wisdom gently. The power of silence is ready for you to harness.